Hello, people. Hope everybody's doing well. I don't know how long this one's going to be, okay? Only time will tell. Anyway, we got short change there yesterday. But like I say, when he comes up the stairs is when I stop the video. That's why I always try to make sure I say thank you. Yeah, if you guys have ever been on Thread, you know what I mean by some people, what they post. Well, it seems like they don't like my choices of my religion. They don't like my choice of political party. I don't really claim to be any political party. I am basically whoever I think looks good, that has the right idea about what to do with the country. If it's a good person in the Republicans, I'll vote for him. If it's a good person in the Democrats, I vote for him. Same for a liberal or independent or whatever other party there's out there. So, but that being said, so there's other conversations we can have. We are definitely moving by the 1st, so I gotta figure out how to get this couch back to Aaron's. We're gonna keep the mattress and figure out how to get the rest of all our stuff over there because, excuse me, though they've got, a vehicle that they can put, the totes and stuff like that, because see, I got totes there somewhere. And, they're going to be full of our knick-knack or whatever we have here. Believe me, there's like a ton of stuff. I'm trying not to cuss, okay, because we're going to be in the midst of a 2-year-old here in a couple of weeks that we have to watch our language. That we have over in California, because once we get to California, I don't know, we'll be able to split up or not, but, I just, hope we can get back to California soon. That way our checks will go up. And whoever is in power, and this is my opinion, okay, this is, nothing that I know it wouldn't get done anyway. But I think that they need to give people on SSI more money. Social Security needs to not, the regular Social Security shouldn't be touched by anybody but the person that, it's for, that paid into it during their work time. It's just, it's hard to explain how I, feel about things. I think that everybody should have free medical, unless it's like surgery or something. And it has to be surgery that, like cosmetic or something. I do think there should be certain times when that should even be allowed to be free. Nothing against the doctors and nurses. I know they work hard and they deserve good money, but when you're sending, what was it, 40 million or $1 billion to Argentina, who, by the way, in case you didn't know, Argentina's government in the 50s and the 40s and 50s, they actually allowed Nazi criminals to come to their country. And it's not the people themselves, it's their government that allowed it. And I mean, these are men that actually were a part of killing off a whole race of people, you know. And it wasn't just the Jewish people, though it was more the Jewish people than anybody. There was also gypsies that he had them kill. It was also people that were, you know, gay or lesbian, anybody that had a disability, that either was mentally disabled or their limbs weren't working or they weren't perfectly German. And, you know, there's a lot of mix in the perfect German, trust me. It's not just, you know, there's still people saying that the Holocaust didn't actually happen. I have news for them. Yes, it did. And it killed probably more than 6 million Jewish people. It wiped out families. One man started that whole mess. All because he hated the people of the Jewish faith. And that's wrong, because Judaism is an old religion. You know, it was different back in the day when Jesus was growing up. But, you know, it evolved into, they still have like the Orthodox, which means they stick to strict rules from the old days. And then they've got the regular, you know, Jewish people. You know, they still eat kosher, they still, you know, have Sabbath dinner, they still, you know, but it's not as it used to be. It's still strict, but it's not as bad as it used to be. I mean, you know, some of them have even, you know, gotten their boys circumcised before their bar mitzvah. I don't know how many, there's no, you know, thing, but that's their thing, and, you know, God bless them. You know, that's the religion that has been through so much persecution. And I mean, were persecuted by everybody from the Egyptian people. They went through the Spanish Inquisition, which had to do with the Catholic Church at the time of that. And it wasn't just in Spain. The Holocaust, all this stuff, you know, it's not their fault. You know, people hate on them because, you know, well, Christians think they're a wrong religion because they don't have Jesus. They know about him. They heard of him. They know he, you know, he was, you know, deemed the Messiah. Whether or not they believed it, I don't know. You know, but, you know, they were basically there a little bit before, but it's hard to explain it. You know, people, you know, if you're religious, it's important to you. If you're not religious, it's not important to you. And people are going to believe what they're going to believe. And you don't, you know, put somebody down because they don't believe in God. You know, that's how they feel. You know, only they know how they can feel. We need to accept everybody as they are. I personally, you know, this is just me. There's other people that believe otherwise, but personally, I don't think there's going to be an Armageddon. I think there's going to be changes made throughout the years, but not a complete, you know, destruction of the world, because You know, there's still children being born. You know, I can see if children weren't being born and, you know, the human race died out that way. And I think that's the only way the human race is going to die. There's going to be some kind of human race, no matter what. But people got it in their heads, you know. And it's not that I don't believe Jesus is coming. He might. But I don't think it's going to be because of the end of the world. It might be because we need him back here to, you know, let people believe in life. Wait a minute, my kids? No, look just like their vehicle. It shouldn't be. I know that my son's temp job stopped. Was the last day was yesterday again. He's waiting for another one. And in the meantime, I know he's looking for another job. Like I said, he got gypped out of that last job he had. He was literally fired for nothing. And I would think it's because whoever wanted him out of that store, instead of wanting to send him to a different store, which they could have, instead of saying, you know, he fell asleep on. He didn't fall asleep. I know my son. I know what what he's capable of doing. So I know he got gypped out of that. He really did. I know I keep going back to different topics and stuff like that. I'm just saying how I feel about that, you know. He just, you know, he's not the type of kid. We always brought him up, you know, don't be like us, you know. Yeah, his dad has been in SSI since before he was born. Like a month before he was born, he got it. I ended up being on welfare for quite a few years. Not that I wanted to. It was hard to get a job. I think once I had gotten my diploma, the way I went about it, went through a charter school, which accepted older adults. It got a little easier because I had proof that I graduated high school. And, you know, like I said, you know, I wasn't a top grade A student either. I mean, I got good grades and I got bad grades. And, you know, things that I didn't, you know, weren't interested in. I got real bad grades and say, you know, gym. I hated going to gym. I hated dressing in shorts and stuff like that. You know, because I still looked like a little kid at the time. I mean, when I was 16, I looked like a 10-year-old. But a 10-year-old with breasts, okay? That's what I look like. Now, if you're like some distance from me, I still look like my husband's walking with a little kid. Get up close, and this is what you see on this face. So then you know I'm more than an adult. I'm a senior. I mean, I don't have gray hair. I'm sure there might be, you know, a strand or two, but women in my family, especially on my dad's side, do not gray. Men do, but the women don't. And I guess it's the same way on my mother's side because I never saw my grandmother with gray hair. Saw with blue hair. But, I mean, you know, it was like henna rinse or something. I don't know. I guess she had hair. Okay, I gotta stop the video. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. He's shortening his visits down there. Okay, bye.